I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor S. Sadagopan, Director of IIITB, an educationalist by profession, but well known in the industry for his deep-rooted knowledge on the technology. He has authored over 7 books and have written several books and papers. He is an alumni of Madras University, India, and Purdue University, USA. He taught for over 25 years in various chapters of IIT. In addition, he has done a short teaching assignment at USA, IIT, and Bangkok. He is and has been a board member for several universities as well as corporations like Bank of India, NSC, IRDA, to name a few. In fact, he is on a board committee for NSCIT, NESL, Canara Bank, and so on and so forth. I think the list is very long. Just hold on. Served many forums and councils like Chief Minister Vigilance Group of India, NASSCOM Regional Council. I would like to welcome Professor Sadagopan, Director of IIITB, to deliver the keynote address for this conference. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sheetal. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, so thank you and thanks the organizers for giving me a chance to kind of talk to all of you. It is an amazing conference, as Dr. Murali made it out. This is happening in 2020, that too towards the end of 2020, when we are kind of almost over the curve as far as the COVID-19 is concerned. So new opportunities have been opened up and technology has changed. Almost everything has changed. Okay, so it is kind of very good opportunity, and I have been associated with the NISM and NSCIT for quite some time. So I feel particularly privileged to be addressing all of you. And also I've been lucky that over the years, government has put me in so many of these unusual places, you know, with data warehousing and surveillance for SEBI, RTGS for RBI, core banking for Bank of India and IOB, and very involved with IMPS, which has now become UPI for NPCI, on the board of NSC, NSCIT, the strategy committee of CDSL, regulatory sandbox of IRDAI, and the board of IRBD. So all these things have given us enormous learning opportunities. Of course, I'm still an outsider, you know, an academic. We have the advantage of getting this ringside view. So I will talk from the ringside view of what I look at as the technology of the capital markets and how technology has changed the capital markets, how we, the technologists, have been coming up with new things as the markets themselves change, and that is how I will do for the next about 12-13 minutes. So if you really look back, you know, 60-70 years of IT, okay, there was a company called IBM, and which continues to be in some sense a dominant player, but not necessarily the leading player. And starting with calculators and tabulators to payroll, and that is what kept IBM busy for several decades. And then came a company called Digital Equipment, called DEC, which introduced this manufacturing execution through mini computers, and much larger number of companies and enterprises started using IT beyond payroll into logistics, manufacturing, supply chain, etc. And then came a company called SAP, which really brought to mainstream the ERP, the SEM, and the CRM, the enterprise resource planning, the supply chain management, and the customer relationship management. And in the last 20 years, it is the internet and the social media that is driving the Google and the Facebook of the world. The reason why I am telling you this context is, over the years, something is happening at a very fundamental level. Technology supporting the enterprise has been there for 50, 60 years. But what we see in the last 10 years is the technology is creating business itself. The classic example is Uber. Is Uber an app? Yes. Is Uber a taxi hailing application? Yes. Is Uber an aggregator? Yes. But it has actually gone beyond everything else, because in a moment, it actually could scale globally. you could actually operate Uber not only in San Francisco, but all over United States and even in Delhi and Bangalore, so that the Uber customer can use the app anywhere. So suddenly it can aggregate just not taxi drivers in one place, but taxi drivers across the universe, and the process create an enterprise which was unprecedented. Okay, something similar is actually happening everywhere else, and that is the reason why we are even having a CapTech conference. Remember that we used to have conference to support some technology or some technology businesses, but today we are actually talking of, just as a fintech is for all the financial sector, a CapTech for all the capital markets. So that is something which is kind of amazing. The next slide, please. Okay, I just have only 3 slides. Okay, the next slide. If you really look at what has actually happened in the capital market itself, I think there are 3 drivers: velocity, efficiency, and convenience. And I think many of us have been kind of watching the NSE take off, like online trading. It completely changes the way in which trading happens. So there's a trading floor, but it looks very different. There's a call out, but it is not by physical calling out, right? So in a sense, it brings enormous amount of efficiency and a scale that is unprecedented, so that you no longer talk of 10% growth or 20% growth or 30% growth. You talk of 100% growth, 1000% growth, 10 times growth, 40 times growth, 50 times growth. And you all have been part of it, you know it much more than me. And then we used to trade by actually kind of making a request and then waiting for a matching. But what really happened was that we could actually use algorithms to do that. And suddenly we increased the velocity in the form of high frequency trade. And then because it is important to have speed, we also have to have external things like settlement and depositories. They must also be there. And then we extend it to the banking system so that the payment gets integrated. And we are even talking, that there are a few are setting up a network exclusively for stock market operations so that it can connect to all the networks. So a lot of things have happened. The next slide, please. Yeah. So I think today what is actually happening is velocity is reasonably good, and then people have the comfort, but people want different level of comfort. Cyber security is something which is a big issue, and the way in which fire safety evolved, I think similarly I expect cyber security will also evolve. It will become a safety issue which will be guaranteed by the entire ecosystem. It is not that everyone has to take care. Collectively, the society itself will take care. And of course, the AI, the analytics, and machine learning are getting to mainstream, particularly in the last 2-3 years, because of the phenomenal amount of compute power available. So that is actually changing. Okay, the one kind of velocity was introduced by algo trading and having online trading, but you will actually have a qualitative change in trading thanks to AI, analytics, and machine learning. The next slide, please. And what I expect to happen, I think, as you kind of all attend the 2 days of conference and over the next couple of years, you will see things like that happening. See, blockchain for us is a distributed ledger. Okay, crypto for us is a digital currency. Okay, of course, each one has, sometimes there are controversies associated with crypto, but those controversies will die because initially people make mistakes, but they learn from mistakes and start doing the right thing. Once that happens, you are actually talking of a complete digital, end-to-end digital. And the blockchain will introduce a lot more symmetries, because right now we have a lot more asymmetries. Some of them will go. But to me, the most exciting thing, particularly as a computer science professional, is that 3 things which have happened, particularly I would say the last decade, are kind of taking off. Compute power, which is much beyond what, now we have been seeing this Moore's law kind of stuff, but at the same time, a few things that are happening. I think many of you would have watched just about 2 weeks back when Apple introduced the M1 microprocessor. Okay, it was a phenomenal speed within the microprocessors. That kind of a speed people are not seeing. Okay, and then of course supercomputers are taking off. A company like Nvidia, which comes from a very different background, actually is able to dominate, particularly for the AI dominated world. So there's a new generation of phenomenal supercomputing. And then people are now talking of not megabit networking or a gigabit networking. People are talking of terabit networking across the planet. Okay, so those kind of stuff are just about to take off. They're still not there, but I'm sure they will be there in the next 3 to 5 years. And edge computing, sometimes people use the word serverless computing, but I thought edge computing captures it better. So this supercomputing, and of course you all know that a few years back, the in memory, it used to be in 70s, we all used to do it as a research topics, but it's actually entered mainstream. So you have lots and lot more of main memory, lot more computing and lot faster networking and edge computing. They will completely change the way stock markets will look tomorrow. And what all it means, I really don't know. But I'm sure, just as in 92, 93, when NISM came, nobody would have foreseen that such a large volume and that too so peacefully. I think something similar will happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And who knows, just as with Uber app, you could book a taxi anywhere, you could fly anywhere and use a taxi. Maybe you could actually trade across the exchanges as effortlessly as using an Uber anywhere else. Okay, could be one, but there could be many more things. Probably one could, historically in financial markets, you are used to T+7, T+3, T+1, etc., etc. So slowly things are coming down and almost coming to theory. Something similar will happen even in the stock capital markets. The last slide. Okay, so I think what makes us so excited about is that whatever compute power we are able to bring, one of the few users, our people from bioengineering and biotech, the genomics guys are the other set of people who are actually able to use. And capital markets is one which is able to use our technology so well. And we also expect that the entire chain, from regulators to intermediaries, end customers, all of them will get impacted by the technology. And it is kind of exciting time to be in. And we as technologists, we feel happy that we are able to contribute to make CapTech a much better place for everybody to be in safely, can do much more, maybe also at much lower cost. And much more important in countries like India, where we still have a lower penetration. Far more number of Gen X people will start trading, and once again with the same level of comfort, safety, and efficiency. And that is what makes technology possible. And enjoy the rest of the conference. Have some great time. And over to you, Sheetal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think very well put across. Today, the research and actual implementation at the time has shortened, and day by day it has been shortening. And some of the industry, we have already seen such a great disruption. And that's where I think we wanted here to tease ourselves a little bit more that what more can happen in capital markets. So thank you very much for that key address. I'm sure that it has added a little extra glamour to our overall conference, and the attendees are more keen to understand what the panelist has on board. So not taking much time. Thank you very much, sir, again.